it's that intangible thing that I was thinking about between like Gabi's mindset and when Gabi got the goal and about like that extra umph that Gabi has that it felt like the team wilted a little bit. And it's frustrating because, Domagoj, when you and I discuss stuff, right? I think I keep flipping back and forth. Maybe it's because I'm a little unempathetic, but in the second half, was it tactical or was it intensity based? And obviously it was both, right? A result happens for both those reasons, but I'm wondering an exact percentage of what was tactical, what was intensity based, what did the team literally fight and desire? And just again, the hoopla, the blah, 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 that the Sunday papers put up, like, Barca fights or whatever. Because I feel like people have to say it's one or the other, but certainly it is both. And I don't know if I'm just projecting the fact that Gabi was pushing and wanted to get that goal. And yeah, the second goal, the Luuk de Jong had scored when he's not on the field. And yeah, there would be more red cards and there was a red card anyway, but you'd have more yellows and more reds if you had 11 Gabis on the field. But it says something that Gabi kept fighting and he raises the intensity to that team. And I'm almost saying that he came off, but if you don't have a player like Gabi out there and a few more players like Gabi out there, or even a player like Nico, who clearly was pushing and he came on, and I actually like the fact that Gabi, by using him in those 30, 40-minute stretches, he could say, hey, Nico, I don't know how much you have for 90 minutes, but give me 30, give me 40 minutes, run around like a chicken with your head cut off and make a difference. And I think Nico does that every time as a super sub midfielder. And I think that role really suits him this season, as you and I discussed, as he's going to hopefully evolve and be able to play as a starter next year. But I don't know. Do you think there was this big drop off in how the team's mentality was? And I mean, clearly they got the equalizer though. So they didn't quit. They didn't give up. They didn't just settle in. I mean, maybe even the PK red card galvanized a little bit. I just feel like, not to stop us short, but I feel like we're almost overdoing the tactics a little bit and saying that in a derby, sometimes you just got to be the better team. Sometimes you just got to buck up and say, hey, let's put the ball in the back of the net. We got to want it. We got to fight.
That is very true. I mean, people can underestimate that aspect of especially of derbies, and this is especially true for Espanyol actually, because they've been the ones who've been in dreadful form coming into the game, and we've been the ones who are flying high after the Atletico game, and Xavi is finally getting his stuff together, and it's been visible on the pitch, in the tactics, in the performances, in the execution. Everything was good, and then you come to Espanyol, away game, derby, it's a hostile environment, and suddenly they seem like the better team in the first half. And I feel like we shouldn't ignore this because it's a derby, and Espanyol always give like 200% against Barcelona, especially when they're at home, which they wouldn't or even cannot do against any other team. It's something that you cannot really ignore because they have overperformed massively. This is not Espanyol's. I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful or anything, but I don't think that this is like the standard Espanyol level, because that's the team that gets battered by Real Betis 4-0 or something, but then they come to Barca and they play like they are in the Champions League in the final or something. It cannot really be ignored. And I feel like Xavi, tactically, he did everything well, almost everything well, from space occupation, from just a general structure, how players move when they're supposed to move, and even chance creation. He did extremely well. But after our first goal, which was like 1 minute into the game, we kind of dropped off. We were like, okay, we have the lead, let's just take it easy. And Espanyol were the ones on the hunt for the equalizer goal. So that's why, and it plays a role, because you can have the structure, you can have the tactics, but if the other team is biting much more than you are, and you're just like breezing through it and somehow trying to get to the end of the half or something, it will affect how you perform. And I feel like we shouldn't really ignore that. And the second half, we had to chase the game, and when you have to chase the game, it just shifts your mentality. And in a way, PK's red card and Espanyol's red card, it kind of hurt them more than us, because they had one fewer player to defend, to bite, to keep that compactness and keep the block intact. And we had PK, who was off, but we didn't really need him. PK always becomes a striker in the final moments when Barca are down, but if there was someone who was going to make a difference, it probably wasn't going to be him. I mean, could be him because he has PK and all that, but I think that the red card kind of helped us more than if it wasn't for the red card. If it was 11 versus 11, I feel like Espanyol would have a bigger chance to kind of survive.
Well, yeah, I think they'd have an extra guy in the box defending when they had 10 in the box at the end of that game late in the second half. And Barca didn't need an extra player to help with build up or to help knock the ball into the into the opposition third. Yeah, and I think, expectations, and this is truth about the season, about the expectations, and because a win against Espanyol yesterday would have meant 3 wins in a row for the first time all season long. And that's what it's been, right? That Culés this season, I say it too. I just want stability. I want to know that Barcelona are not winning the league or flying high, are going to win the Europa League, but in a place where you can finally be comfortable and finally feel like there's some stability. But no, even this result, right? That it goes against what you'd expect for Barca to be, but it's this expectation, understanding that we've been on this journey all year long, right? That Luuk de Jong was told, Xavi comes in, Luuk de Jong is on the fringes of the squad, and he says, hey, you're probably out of this. But then Xavi still needs him. Xavi still needs Luuk de Jong for a purpose and for a reason. And he again comes up big. His 4th goal of the season in 10 matches, just a huge goal. A huge moment from Luuk de Jong. Was it a startling performance? No. And obviously he didn't even start. But he's playing the role that if you had to choose a role for Luuk de Jong, that would be it. That, hey, you got to be 9 feet tall, 5 minutes to go in the game. We really need you to save us here. Can you do it? And he did it again this season. So good on Luuk de Jong, who scored Barca's 10th header goal of the year, the most of any team in the Liga. And it was also, there's been different numbers here, but apparently it was the most crosses, 25 under Xavi this season. And you could say it's a lot to do with personnel, right? Adama Traore, Luuk de Jong, chasing a game like that against Espanyol, Aubameyang coming on late as well. So yeah, there was like an actual reason, and the game stipulated that there was going to be more crosses, especially late on when Barca, again, are desperate to get that equalizer, and you have a player like Luuk de Jong on the field. But even then, it's just like this understanding, or not understanding, but a lack of understanding that, we're going to be on this roller coaster all season long. I don't want it. You don't want it. No Culés want to be on the roller coaster, but this is the ride, right? The 1 point, Luuk de Jong being the hero, those are things we have to celebrate because Barcelona are 4th in the table right now. That point kept Barcelona at 4th in the table on pace. So what are the expectations? What is the end goal? The expectations is that even with Ansu out, even with all the injuries, that Barcelona has a talented enough team to finish in the top 4 of the Liga this season. That is what my expectation is. If that isn't met at the end of the season, I'm going to be pretty bummed. And I get frustrated and I get sad. Sad is, but I get sad when Barcelona doesn't feel like they're on course to get top 4. And unfortunately, that's where I'm so conflicted, right? That Barcelona should have beaten Espanyol in a derby, like they have not all 23 times, but they haven't lost in 23 matches. So the feeling in that second half, like, oh no, Barcelona are about to lose to Espanyol for the first time since 2009, right? That's bad. That's not good. It makes me sad. But they were able to rescue it and remind me that this is the roller coaster we're on this season. And I not say I'm going to throw out the Europa League, but what are my expectations of the Europa League? Not much. I think Barca could lose 2-1 or 3-1. I'm not going to be surprised. The house isn't falling down. The house is on fire. It's fine. Not to say that result is fine. I'm going to be sad, but the goal still is top 4 in the Liga. And also, beat Napoli, right? Get a result against Napoli. That's great because I think this team is capable of that too. I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm saying that they can. It's possible. But if they don't, I'm not surprised because we're on the roller coaster, right? And then Valencia, they could beat Valencia 4-1, 4-0, 5-0, right? Even with a makeshift back line. This team is talented and capable of that. And I keep being stuck between these two minds, but and the reason why I trust in Xavi again at the end, he's unafraid to go for top 4. That's why he's unafraid to attempt to play Dembélé. He was unafraid to put Dembélé on for the last 18 minutes. What he did, I don't know, but he's unafraid to throw Luuk de Jong and Dembélé and everything, the kitchen sink on, because he's desperate for results because this team needs to get top 4. The summer plans next season, if they don't get top 4, that's what it all comes down to. And it's silly because, again, I repeat this twice a week and on the match reviews and everywhere else. I repeat it a million times over that that's the only goal. And it's hard to myopically keep our focus on that, but that's what it is. And we're just going to have to be along for the ride elsewhere.
Yeah, that is very true. I'm not sure what to expect from the Europa League. We could win it. We could lose it, to Napoli just right now. But I feel like you are right. We do have a talented team that can go far. It can definitely get top 4. I'm absolutely certain that we have the quality and we have the structure now to get there. I know Xavi said that it was a step backwards drawing to Espanyol. I think that he said that. And result-wise, perhaps, we should have won. We could have won. A draw means dropped points. Also means we didn't use this chance to climb up the standings to 3rd place and kind of get a step closer to securing top 4, even though we're still far away from that. However, excluding the kinks from the first half, I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing on the pitch, and that matters as well. I mean, from a just general setup and role, and just the clarity of role point of view, even Xavi's doing an incredible job. I mean, the team is well defined from space occupation to structure to chance creation. We know what we're good at, and we know where our strengths lie, and we know how to exploit them. Even if it's just as simple as overload the left side of the pitch, isolate Adama Traore, get the ball to him, let him run, let him cross, let De Jong score a header. Even if it's just that, we know what we're good at, what we can do, and how we can exploit that. That's good. This is key. I know that saying trust the process is cheesy. I mean, it is cheesy, but I think that people are very quick to forget and just overlook the fact that there is finally a process here in the first place. And I think as long as we have this direction and that goal, the general sensations will still be positive.
Yeah, and you're going to just have to deal with the issues with the back line and issues with personnel and the things that are continuing to be a problem may continue to be a problem, even the likes of Ferran Torres, where I think he's the player right now that epitomizes what that process is. That, there are questions. Is he ever going to come good? Is he ever going to get to the level that Barcelona need him to be for 55 million euros? Like, he's already having his question. Yeah, there are already questions about his price tag. There are already those saying that Pep Guardiola, just like with Eric Garcia, had completely swindled Barcelona again and giving Barca a cast off or a player that wasn't worth what he was. That Julian Alvarez, who Man City got at a third of the price, is already a better player than Ferran Torres. And I'm not ready for any of that. I'm not ready for doing any of that. And the same thing with, as I said, I'm not ready to cast off Eric Garcia. I'm not ready to cast off Ferran Torres. I'm not ready to cast off Serginho Dest under Xavi. As a player overall, I mean, there are things I think we know, again, after 2 years at Barcelona, but I'm not ready to say that Xavi isn't going to be able to use Dest. And if Dest is sold, I'll tell myself this at night so that I can sleep. But the answer is not going to be that Dest needed to be sold because he wasn't ever going to fit under Xavi and he wasn't going to improve. It was that he is worth something because he's a young fullback, and the fullback market, is dictated by who's willing to spend on fullbacks, which I think every club needs a fullback or two. So if Dest is worth something on the open market and Xavi doesn't think he could get to the level he needs, or he's the guy that is going to finance a position of need that's even higher, because we come away with this where does Barcelona need players? I mean, on the listener question show on Monday, Levon and I talked about it, and center back in a back three might be the answer. And you look at this match again and you're like, well, people were disagreeing with me because I had made a statement the other day. I mean, just a few days ago, I made a statement that I thought that the center back five, whatever it would be at Barcelona, might be fine next year, even if PK continues on, if Araujo and Eric Garcia were to improve. And I thought that rotation would be just fine. But then you look at this match and you go, oh, wait, no, it isn't. I forgot. It's not. that PK, I mean, he had his worst game under Xavi against Espanyol. And Eric Garcia had his worst game under Xavi against Espanyol. And Araujo, it was hot and cold. He came off after 45 minutes because he was hurt again, right? So you could argue that is one of his poor performances. So when your three most important center backs all kind of put up a little bit of stinkers, right? Like the diaper's a little dirty there. Then you go, okay, well then, yeah, Barcelona desperately need Jules Koundé, or they desperately need Christensen, or even Azpilicueta would be this huge, huge addition as a center back, right? So all of those things become true because of one game, and that's just the quick knee-jerk reaction. So I think we've done a good job, Domagoj, in summing it up in the long term and summing it up in the short term. Is there anything you have to add about this? Any thoughts on Adama Traore or Luuk de Jong's playing time moving forward, or Aubameyang or Ferran Torres? Anything you got on the attack? I think it's time to wrap it up.
I think that Adama Traore is doing exactly what Xavi needs him to do. And I feel like with him, specifically, I don't want to take anything away from his performances because he's been great. He's been a difference maker ever since he got here. In the first two games that he's played, 2 assists, that's just fantastic. But I think it's more about the profile than Adama Traore himself. We've seen what Xavi's system can do when there's a profile that fits that system and does what Xavi needs him to do. And Barca now, they can now see what works, and I feel like someone in his mold, only better, would be like, that would be gold for Barca on the right flank.
But isn't that to that point, right? Isn't that the key almost everywhere, right? Alves, same mold but younger. Alba,
Yeah.
same mold, maybe a little bit better defense, but same mold but younger. PK, right?
Yes.
Same mold but younger.
Yeah.
Ferran Torres, same mold but more prolific in front of net, right? It's like Busquets, same mold but quicker, right? Like or younger. Like it seems like ever on the pitch, right? Like Adama Traore, as you just said, like same mold except definitely more clinical, which is not what he is.
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, and some of those positions are easier to replace than others. I feel like also at one point in the game yesterday, it was like we desperately lack someone who can just flip the game on its head. Like in a second, we don't have a difference maker. And then I remember, okay, that's why Laporta wants Haaland, for example, because he's just this force of nature that goes forward and just wills goals into existence. We don't have that player. Ever since Messi left, we don't have someone who can make something out of nothing. Dembele is not that guy. Could have been that guy potentially, but obviously he won't be for the obvious reasons. And I don't know, it just feels like this team has so many holes to plug. And then you think about spending all the budget on one player in the summer, and I'm like, I'm not sure that's the right thing to do. But at the same time, we need that sort of player who's like, a force of nature. And I guess we'll see. I mean, the free agents are not too bad. When you look at them, Aspilicueta, when you look at Christensen, those cheaper options, they're not so bad. They can be good options. Just we'll have to wait and see, I guess.